What's going on YouTube? Today's video we do have the DREO AC515s. Now this time we have the black model. If you have seen the previous video, we did test out the white model. Yes, there is no difference between black and white, but we previously gave away the white version to someone that really needed it, and I took care of them because it was 120 degrees and it was very, very hot. Their AC broke. I gave it to them. Now we're gonna give it to my dad on his t-shirt shop. So if you don't know, a t-shirt shop is very, very hot. Very hot. It gets close to 100 degrees inside, if not even more, because of a heat press, because of a bunch of machinery, because of the poor insulation, because you guys all know how warehouses are. Imagine that. Very terrible on hot summer days and everything else like that. So this was much needed. Shout out to DREO for actually supplying for this. I will not let you guys down. We did a really good job on the previous video. You guys showed a lot of love, a lot of support. Yes, it's not sponsored. They didn't pay me. They didn't do anything else like that. They just sent out the unit because they're very kind. So I'm gonna make a video on it, of course. Now, when it comes to the unboxing experience, like all DREO products, everything is nicely packaged and laid out. It even comes with some extra goodies as well. You got foam, you got a remote control, you have the exhaust hose, batteries, you also have window panels, A, B, C, and D all labeled with measurements on them as well. The actual unit itself, which is very nicely secured in foam, of course. So no doubt in my mind when it comes to DREO products, it's perfectly laid out. It even has some extra sealant so that way nothing moves around. When it comes to the filters, now the filters are washable, just an FYI. And this does have a nice sleek carbon fiber front on the top of it, as well as a magnetic remote control holder that also is able to glow in the dark. Let's show you that right now. See if you can find it. You can see it right there. So even, in pitch black, I can see everything. On camera, you can't really see it because of the low light. You can pretty much see everything. It's upside down. See, you can see all of the modes even in nighttime. But if you have the remote completely away from its magnetic spot and you have trouble seeing it, it's amazing that this is glow in the dark and it doesn't fade away within 30 seconds or so. This actually lasts a very long time, so good glow in the dark. And when it comes to the installation process, this was super easy because I previously obviously made a video and already installed it and got all of it ready together, but it's very dummy proof. You don't have to use any tools whatsoever, maybe just scissors to actually cut some of the weather strip, but this time we use the weather strips, the sticky adhesive version. They have regular foam, sticky adhesive, so you can use both or one or the other, however you really want for your setup. For this specific scenario, we use the sticky solution. The non-sticky is used for also just getting rid of bugs and all that. Definitely a lot of different scenarios you could use that for. I love that DREO includes everything. So even stuff you may not need but may need in the future, they give you extra strips, and then you have a bunch of non-sticky foam as well. You also get batteries, a remote. You have 3 ways to control this: the remote, the touch display, as well as an app. You can also use your Amazon or Google Assistant to actually voice activate this to turn on, off, do a bunch of different list of functions within your voice, basically. So installation was quick, super easy. Now when it comes to the app functions, I'm just gonna go very quickly within it. To set it up, you just press the clock button or the timer button for about 5 seconds. It'll actually count that down for you. So within those 5 seconds, you can actually go into the app. It'll automatically pop up, which is really nice. But if it doesn't, you can press the plus and then go to specific model, which this model is AC515s. The S stands for smart, of course. Once you do that, you pretty much go through the process, sign into your Wi-Fi, do everything else like that. It'll also ask you if you wanted to set it up on your Amazon or Google Assistant remotely. It'll change the color as well. You have that option to change between white and black. You also have firmware updates available on this if there happens to be any in the future. Right now it's completely up to date, so we're good on that. And then you also have the ability to basically remotely control your AC from anywhere in the world, pretty much, because as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, I am able to turn on my DREO fan when I'm at work, which is like 30 minutes away, basically. You can pretty much easily use this DREO device with any smartphone. It's just super good. Very, very good. If you pair it with a poly fan like this one goes 360 degrees, so it circulates the air a lot better. It'll circulate colder air if you pair it with an AC515s, which is really helpful. I'm not saying to get this one, but if you get a poly fan or something that swivels, pair it with the regular fan or ceiling fan, even better, then yes, your whole house would pretty much be cold. So in a matter of minutes, you'll be pretty much cold in any room. All right, it's barely been 20 minutes probably since we installed it and been having it run, and it dropped 3 degrees, I would say, in 20 minutes. Now, I haven't previously shown the maximum that this room specifically gets, but it easily gets in the high 90s to over 100 at sometimes because of the very poor insulation. This is our way of insulating it, I guess you could say, to black out the with curtains technically. Obviously that doesn't do a good job. This window has a crack on it. When you have all that foam there, it does help a lot. So this specific one on the outside, it's pushing out a lot of hot air. The tube itself gets pretty warm, not super hot, but warm. So because this has 3 different modes on the unit itself, it has a dehumidification mode, which you'll actually need to use a separate hose drainage, which I use specifically for this project because our room needs to be a certain humidity as well as a certain temperature in order for the machine to work properly, as well as for us to feel good in the room as well, because it's pretty much a sweatshop in there. So it's a very important thing to have a drainage hose used for this model. Make sure you elevate the hose so that it actually, empties the water immediately, but this drains really, really quickly without the dehumidification mode. If you turn it on, it dehumidifies the room super, super quick. You can target which humidity level you want the room to be at. If you're just on regular AC, like I mentioned, it'll just naturally do that thing. And then, the extra condensation will be put into the drip pan. There are 2 different ways to connect the hose. There's a connector at the top and the connector at the bottom. I recommend doing the top one, but you can use either or. I use the 5-gallon and then transfer the whatever water and condensation that it accumulated, and I put it back into the humidifier. That way it has a full cycle of it being perfectly humid and perfectly cool. That way you don't technically have to use more and more water without having any water being collected. So this way, in my opinion, it should be a lot more smooth when it comes to operating the machinery, which is a vital, important thing whenever you are keeping the ink well and the machine well and printing in general. This also does have a vapor chamber, which I like to call it. Basically, it'll speed up the evaporation chamber, go into parts that need to be properly cooled, kind of like water cooling, and it'll use that water to be able to cool down the vise or just make it speed up the cooling process, I guess you could say. And when it comes to the wind speed, it's 7.8 miles per hour on the first mode, 12 miles per hour on the second mode, and 14.5 miles per hour on the third mode, which is really, really good. That's actually as powerful as a dedicated fan like this poly fan right here, just for an FYI. Now it does have an oscillation function, which means it's able to actually maneuver or just push out the air evenly across the room very, very effectively. Now it does have a vertical spread, which means the actual spinning engine, I guess you could say, is pushing out air vertically. That way it doesn't have any struggling issues pushing the air straight up and then curve it off like some of the older units. This is just straight vertical, so it's more powerful that way. It's not technically energy efficient. It's about the same as normal 12,000 BTU units. However, you do have special modes like eco mode. You have scheduling, and you also have timers. Some of those older AC units and other things don't have any of those. So being able to actually keep it at a set temperature, have a scheduling, so you're only using it when you need it to be used and not using it when you're not needing it to be used, such as like 2 in the morning. If you have the unit running at 2 in the morning, that's a little bit terrible. It's completely hands-free, automated, really, really nice. Now, as far as the cooling temperature, so it does go from 65 degrees all the way up to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this is actually getting as far down as -10 degrees Fahrenheit, which is insane. So the actual cooling system is -10 degrees. It's pushing out a lot colder air, like I would say 20 to 30 degree cold air, which is really, really cold. But the actual, device itself, the cooling part, is like -10 degrees, which is super, super cold. Now this does push up to about 1,000 watts, specifically 1,100 watts, which if you break down the cost per wattage, I will go ahead and break that down for you. So we do use the metric power equals energy times time, and we go ahead and do the 1,100 kilowatts, which 1,000 watts is equal to 1 kilowatt. So we're going to do 1.1 kilowatts times that by hours, which is, in this case, we love to do 8 hours, which is the typical average time that people will use electronics or stuff like this for specific units like this. So we're going to times that by 8, which is 8.8 kilowatt hours in that time metric. Once we have that time metric, we're going to go ahead and multiply that that's the amount that PG&E charges you per kilowatt hour. So in this case, it's $2.64 a day per 8 hours. If you multiply that number by 7, which is in a week, you will get a total of $18.48 per week, $73.92 per month, and $887 per year, which is never going to happen. That's realistically saying that you're going to be using this pretty much 8 hours a day, every single day for an entire year. So 8 hours a day times 365 days, which you're never going to do. It's really only going to be hot during summer, like super hot during summer. So within those days, which is about, let's say 3 months, you're only going to really be paying under $100, which is the estimated yearly cost for this device. Of course, if you're doing like a mining rig or something crazy like that that requires a lot of heat all year round, then yes, of course, you're going to need this all year round. So yes, and if you guys didn't know, we do custom t-shirts. So you can see the one that I have right here. This is DTG, meaning that you actually have this ink fused, I would say, into the shirt itself. So it's going to last longer. It's going to look better. It's full color print. So you can actually put any image on there, any lettering. We do a bunch of different custom stuff, not just t-shirts, not just hoodies, not just the basic stuff. We do hats, we do crew necks, polos. We've done beach towels, beach balls. We've done pretty much anything you could think of when it comes to apparel or custom stuff for your business. We do everything quickly, efficiently, and professionally while giving you one of the best costs possible. So if you guys want to check out InkFuse, hit us up in the website description down below. Thank you once again, DREO, for supplying this AC unit. It is a huge entire help for the company, for my dad as well, because he's usually in there and I don't want it to be a sweatshop because usually, you know, it does affect his health because chemicals, bad temperature, you know how it goes. As we have a bunch of remodeling to do in that room, so you guys will see update videos with this AC515s in the future. I 100% recommend you to get it. This helped out a ton. I'll see you guys in the next video. We out.